So if you pull up PyCharm, go ahead and let's create a quick list. Okay, so I'm going to say LIEMP for my employee. And let's just make a quick employee record that has some of these things. And we'll compare a list's behavior with a dictionary's behavior. So create something like this in a list form. I'll pause and give you some time. All right. So now that you have this, what I want you to do is create a dictionary that is the equivalent to this. So the same information. So I'm going to say DEMP. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type that out in the vertical format that I used before. And what you'll see is that if you put the curly braces or the left curly brace and you hit enter, it'll do this for you. It'll indent the line beneath it. And now I'm going to say name. Actually, I'm going to say F name for first name because maybe I'll add a last name later. And then Bill. And then I'm going to go age. And I'm going to go 25. And you don't have to put spaces. In fact, PyCharm prefers that you format it like this. I don't like that. Spaces don't hurt anything here. Phone. And I'll say role. There we go. And of course, on the last, I'm going to put a comma after each one of these, but I'm only putting commas between them. So I don't need a comma after the last one. And then I have my closing curly brace down here. So that does the same thing. So now if I print that, if I print DAMP, my dictionary here, you can see it still prints it horizontally, which is fine. Not super easy to read, but at least when I'm putting it together, I can read it pretty easily. And as you get into coding, you can decide if you want to write it like this or if you want to write it all in one line. You can do whatever's easiest for you. There's no real rule about that. It's more of a personal preference. So keep your dictionaries and your lists there for a second. Let's talk about how to access data in a dictionary. So now we have our employee database here with the name, age, job, and email. Ours is a little different, but it doesn't really matter. And so if you remember with the list, we used the index to access a value in the list. 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever. We put the index inside square brackets. Now to access a value in a dictionary, what we do differently is we put the key in the square brackets. And what this does is it returns the value that goes with that key. So if I ask for DEMP name, it's going to send back Bob. Okay, so let's try that. And you can see I can either print that value, I can put it in a variable. But so if I did my list here, let me get rid of this. If I did the list and I do this, right, it's going to print Bill. The trouble with this is if this appears somewhere else in my program, I don't really know for sure what it is I'm accessing. I just know that I'm accessing whatever's first in that index, or in that list. That's fine, but it's not as good as doing this, where now I know exactly what it is that I'm accessing. Actually, it's first name. There we go. Okay, and I can even use this value in an F string. If I want to say somebody is a great employee, you can see you can inject that into a string just as if it's a variable. So it's really, really useful, and I think much easier to use for things like this than a list. There are definitely times where a list is easier than a dictionary. But when you are retrieving specific pieces of data or updating specific pieces of data in a collection, I think a dictionary kind of wins.